Previously on Flames and Frost. Asha, Frost and Cinder cross the boundary, battered, bleeding, but alive. They found something unexpected on the other side. A community. Fire and ice dragons, united by exile, ready to defend their own. The patrols retreated, the realm sealed its borders, and the exiles made a choice. To move north, together, toward mountains no one had mapped, and a future no one could predict. But the journey has only begun. The northern wilds are unforgiving, and not everyone who starts this road will see its end. Episode 5. We survive together. The first day was the hardest. The terrain beyond the basin rose sharply, jagged peaks and narrow passes that forced the column to stretch thin. Dragons who could fly scouted ahead. Dragons who couldn't walked, their claws scraping against stone that had never known footprints. Asha's wing had begun to heal, but flight was still agony. She walked with Cinder on her back, Frost beside her, their breath forming clouds in the thinning air. On the second day, when everyone could fly, the cold deepened with every league. Fire dragons huddled closer together, their internal temperature burning hotter to compensate. Ice dragons moved easier here, but even they felt the bite of altitude.
The heat signatures are spreading out. Some of them are getting weaker.
Is it the fire dragons?
They're using too much energy just to stay functional. But the more they push, the faster they drain.
Frost drifted toward the struggling cluster, then cut across the column. A single signal, sharp, practiced, and other ice dragons began to move. They fanned to the outer edge and the lead, taking the exposed positions. The fire dragons were eased inward, into the shelter of bodies and wings.
Get inside the line. Stop spending extra energy to battle the air. Let us take the leading edge.
The fire dragons hesitated, old instincts warning them away from ice. But exhaustion won over fear. One by one, they shifted into the pocket the ice dragons made around them. A young female with scales the color of dying embers exhaled slowly.
I don't have to push as hard. It's really helping.
We survive together. Or not at all.
Word spread through the column. Ice dragons began rotating through the exposed positions. Lead, high flank, outer edge. So no single fire dragon had to pay the altitude's cost for hours at a time. And at night, fire dragons returned the favor, keeping close to ice hatchlings and the smallest bodies in the group, lending a careful warmth that didn't scorch, just steadied. It wasn't trust, not yet, but it was something close. On the third day, the storm hit. It came from the northwest, a wall of white that swallowed the peaks and turned the world into a howling void. Visibility dropped to nothing. The wind cut through scales like claws. The column halted. Dragons pressed together in whatever shelter they could find. Overhangs, crevices, the lee side of boulders. The scouts returned, ice crusting their wings, their reports grim.
There's a valley ahead, maybe 2 leagues. If we can reach it, we can wait out the storm. But the pass is narrow. We'll have to go single file.
The elder ice dragon Glacine shook her head.
2 leagues in this. We'll lose half the column. The fire dragons can't take this cold, and the hatchlings.
If we stay here, we lose them anyway. The storm could last days. We don't have days.
The elders argued. The wind screamed. And somewhere in the chaos, Cinder tugged at his mother's wing.
Mom, I can see it.
See what, little one?
The valley, through the storm. The heat signatures. There's warm air rising from the valley floor. I can see the path. I can see where it's safe to walk.
Asha stared at her son. Then she pushed through the arguing elders, Cinder still on her back.
My son can guide us. He can see heat through the storm. He can find the safe path.
Silence. Even the wind seemed to pause.
A hatchling? Guide the entire column?
Not just any hatchling. My son. The one the realm tried to destroy. The one who sees what none of us can.
The fire elder studied Cinder for a long moment. Then he knelt, bringing himself to the child's level.
Can you do this? Truly. Lives depend on your answer.
I can see the warm air. I can see where the ground is stable. I can see everything.
The elder held his gaze. Whatever he saw there, courage, certainty, or simply the desperate hope of a child who wanted to help, it was enough.
The hybrid child leads. Everyone else, follow exactly where he walks. No deviations, no shortcuts. We trust the child, or we die in this storm.
No one argued. There was nothing left to argue about. Cinder moved to the front of the column, his parents flanking him. The storm raged around them, but his eyes were fixed on something no one else could see. The thermal map of the world, painted in heat and cold.
Left here. There's a drop on the right. The cold air is falling into it. Stay left.
The column followed, step by step. Blind faith in a child's impossible gift.
Straight now. The ground is solid for 50 lengths. Then we turn right. There's a warm updraft marking the pass entrance.
They walked for what felt like hours. The storm battered them. The cold seeped into bones. But Cinder never wavered, his small voice cutting through the wind, guiding them around crevasses and unstable ice, through narrow gaps and across frozen streams. Asha watched her son with something beyond pride. This was the child the prophecy had condemned, the child the realm had tried to erase. And here he was, saving the very dragons who had once been told to fear him.
Look at him.
I see him. I've always seen him.
The pass opened onto the valley just as the storm began to ease. The columns spilled through, exhausted, frozen, but alive. Every single one of them. Cinder collapsed against his mother's side, his small body shaking with exhaustion. But he was smiling.
I did it. I actually did it.
You did. You saved us. All of us.
The fire elder approached, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, he bowed his head, a gesture of respect that fire dragons reserved for their greatest heroes.
The column owes you a debt, young one. A debt we won't forget.
Other dragons followed his lead, fire and ice bowing to a hybrid child. The thing they were told to fear, now the thing they honored. Cinder didn't know what to do. He just pressed closer to his mother and closed his eyes. The valley offered shelter, but not safety. On the fourth day, the predators found them. They came at dusk, massive creatures that moved through the snow like shadows. Not dragons. Something older. Something that had lived in these mountains long before any dragon had thought to flee here. The scouts called them White Claw Harriers, four-legged hunters with white fur and eyes like frozen amber. They moved in packs, silent and coordinated, and they were very, very hungry.
Everyone, get into defensive formations, now! Move the hatchlings to the center! Fire dragons, form an outer ring quickly and prepare to defend the column.
The column scrambled to obey. But the White Claw Harriers were fast, faster than exhausted dragons could react. They hit the flanks first, dragging down stragglers, their jaws closing on wings and tails. Screams filled the valley. Fire erupted in desperate bursts. Ice walls rose and shattered. Frost threw himself into the fight, his frost breath creating barriers that the White Claw Harriers had to circle around. Asha guarded Cinder, her injured wings spread wide, her fire ready.
There are so many. I can see them. They're everywhere, coming from the ridges.
Stay behind me. Don't move.
A White Claw Harrier broke through the line, its amber eyes fixed on Cinder. Asha met it with a blast of fire that sent it reeling, but two more took its place. Then the Fire Elder was there, his old body moving with surprising speed. He caught one by the throat, his flames burning white hot. The creature screamed and fell. But the second one got through. Its claws raked across the Elder's side, opening wounds that steamed in the cold air. He staggered, but didn't fall, turning to face the attacker even as blood pooled beneath him. His final blast of fire was blinding, a column of white flame that consumed the White Claw Harrier and two more behind it. The pack faltered, their coordination broken by the sudden loss. The other dragons pressed the advantage. Fire and ice worked together, frost walls funneling the predators into kill zones, fire finishing what cold had trapped. Within minutes, the remaining White Claw Harriers fled into the darkness, their howls echoing off the valley walls. But the victory had cost them. The Fire Elder lay in the snow, his scales dimming, his breath coming in shallow gasps. Dragons gathered around him, fire and ice alike, their faces stricken. Asha pushed through the crowd, Cinder at her side. The Elder's eyes found them, and something like peace settled over his features.
The child, is he safe?
He's safe. Because of you.
Good. Good. That's worth it.
He turned his head toward Glycine, the Ice Elder, who knelt beside him with tears freezing on her scales.
Lead them well, old friend. Fire and ice. Together. Promise me.
I promise. Together. Always.
Then I can rest.
His eyes closed, his breath stilled, and the fire that had burned in him for over 2 centuries finally went out. The column mourned him that night. They buried him at dawn in a cairn of stone and ice that would stand for centuries. And when it was done, Glycine addressed the column with a voice that didn't waver.
Pyrrhus gave his life for this community. For all of us, fire and ice. We honor him by continuing, by reaching the home he believed in, by becoming the people he knew we could be.
She looked at Cinder, who stood between his parents, his young face marked by grief he was too young to fully understand.
He died protecting our future. Let's make sure that future is worth his sacrifice.
The column moved on, slower now, sadder, but together. The days had blurred together. They crossed frozen rivers and climbed passes that seemed to touch the sky. They weathered 2 more storms, smaller than the first, but still deadly. They kept moving, always north, always together. Cinder grew stronger on the journey, his gift sharpened with use, could map terrain through fog and snow and darkness. The column came to rely on him, this small hybrid child who saw what no one else could see. And slowly, something changed in how they looked at him. The fear faded, the suspicion died. In its place grew something else: respect, gratitude, even affection. He wasn't the prophecy's monster. He was their guide, their good luck charm, their proof that fire and ice could create something beautiful. On the 5th day, the scouts returned with news that made the entire column stop breathing.
We found it. A highland basin, sheltered on 3 sides by peaks. Fresh water, geothermal vents for warmth, caves for shelter. It's perfect.
Glycine closed her eyes. When she opened them, she drew a steadying breath and kept her voice level.
Take us there.
The last approach took half a day, but the air here wasn't cruel. The basin ahead held its own calm, lift that carried tired wings, shelter that caught them before they could break. They crossed the final ridge at sunset, and there it was. A vast highland basin cradled by snow-capped peaks that glowed gold and pink in the dying light. Steam rose from vents scattered across the valley floor, creating pockets of warmth amid the cold. A river wound through the center, fed by glacial melt, its water clear and cold and clean. Caves dotted the cliff faces, natural shelters that could house hundreds. Flat ground stretched between them, perfect for gathering, for building, for living. It was more than they had dared to hope for. It was home. Asha stood at the ridge's edge, Cinder on one side, Frost on the other. Below them, the column was descending into the basin, dragons spreading out to explore, to claim caves, to simply stand in the warmth of the vents and breathe.
We made it.
We actually made it.
It's so warm. The whole valley, it's like a heartbeat. Slow and steady and alive.
Frost pulled his family close, his cold mixing with Asha's warmth. Cinder nestled between them.
We chose each other on purpose. And this is what that choice built.
A home. A real home.
That night, the exiles gathered in the basin's center, around a fire that burned without fuel, fed by the geothermal vents, eternal and unwavering. Glycine stood before them, her old voice carrying across the crowd.
We have walked through many dangers together to reach this place. We have lost friends, family, everything we once knew. But we have gained something too, something the realm could never give us.
She paused, looking out at the faces before her. Fire and ice, young and old, scarred and whole.
We have gained each other. We have gained freedom. We have gained the right to build something new.
She raised one claw toward the peaks that surrounded them.
From this day forward, this place has a name. We call it the Ashfrost Highlands, in honor of Asha and Frost, who defied the realm to love each other, who gave us Cinder, who led us here. Their names will live in this land forever.
She turned to Cinder, her eyes warm.
And you, child of fire and ice, you are not an abomination. You are not a mistake. You are the first of a new kind. From this day forward, your kind shall be known as Ashfrost Dragons, named for your parents, blessed by their courage.
Cinder's eyes filled with tears. Asha pulled him close. Frost wrapped his wing around them both.
Ashfrost. Our name. Our legacy.
A sound rose from the gathered dragons, a roar of approval, of hope, of belonging. Fire and ice voices mingled, creating a harmony that echoed off the peaks and filled the valley with sound. Cinder added his voice to the chorus, small but clear, Fire and frost woven together in a single note that seemed to capture everything they had survived and everything they would become. The Ash-Frost Highlands had found its people, and its people had found their home. In the days that followed, the exiles began to build. They claimed homes in caves along the cliff faces. They mapped the geothermal vents and learned to harness their warmth. They established hunting grounds, water sources and patrol routes to watch for threats. Fire dragons and ice dragons worked side by side, their old enmity fading with each shared task, each solved problem, each meal eaten together around the eternal fire. And at the center of it all, a family. Asha and Frost claimed a cave near the basin's heart, large enough for a growing child, warm enough for fire, cool enough for ice. They decorated it with stones from the journey, each one a memory. The pass where Cinder had guided them, the valley where Pyrrhus had fallen, the ridge where they'd first seen their new home. Cinder grew. His gift grew with him. He became the Highlands' best scout, able to sense approaching threats from leagues away, able to find safe paths through the worst weather, able to see what no one else could see. The dragons who had once feared him now sought his counsel. The children who had once feared the hybrid now played with him, learned from him, looked up to him. He was still the prophecy's child, still the thing the realm had tried to destroy. But here, in the Ash-Frost Highlands, he was something else too. He was home. Years passed, then decades. Glacine grew old and passed the leadership to a council, fire and ice together, as Pyrrhus had wished. Asha and Frost served on that council, their voices respected, their wisdom sought. Cinder came of age and took a mate, a fire dragon named Ember, who loved him not despite his differences, but because of them. They had children of their own, hybrids like their father, beautiful and impossible and free. And in the realm they had left behind, things grew darker. The council's fear spread like a disease, turning neighbor against neighbor, clan against clan. The prophecy that had driven the exile became an obsession, a justification for ever greater cruelty. But in the Highlands, none of that mattered. Here, fire and ice lived as one. Here, hybrids were celebrated, not condemned. Here, the future the realm had tried to prevent was flourishing. Over 100 years passed. Asha and Frost grew older together, their scales fading, their fires dimming, but their love never wavering. They watched their grandchildren play in the eternal warmth of the vents. They told stories of the journey, the storm, the white claw harriers, the friends they'd lost, and the home they'd found. Cinder was the first Ash-Frost dragon, but he was not the last. Other fire and ice dragons followed Asha and Frost's example, their unions creating more hybrids, children of both elements, blessed with gifts no pure-blooded dragon could possess. Not all chose that path. Some fire dragons kept to fire, some ice dragons kept to ice. They valued their heritage, their traditions, their pure bloodlines. And in the Highlands, that was their right. No one was forced to blend. No one was shamed for staying true to their element. Fire, ice, and Ash-Frost. 3 kinds, 1 people. That was now the Highlands' way. But beyond the mountains, the realm had not forgotten. The prophecy still whispered in council chambers. The fear still festered. And one day, fear would reach north again. But that is a tale for another time. For now, the Ash-Frost Highlands stood strong. a sanctuary built on love and loss and the stubborn refusal to be what fear demanded. This concludes the origin of the Ashfrost Highlands and the Ashfrost Dragons. But the fate of two worlds and the dragons caught between them awaits. The story continues, in flames and frost.